Hi, welcome to our podcast, Just One More Page.
Where it's never just one more page.
Hi guys, welcome to Just One More Page. My name is Morgan.
I'm Sam.
So Sam, how's your week going? Anything fun?
Okay, so a couple things. Well, actually, one of the things I want to talk about is not book related, but I'm just fangirling super hard, and that is Leo from Vix dropped a music video, and I've watched it 80 million times, and ugh.
I feel like I have to watch it because I actually haven't seen it yet, so I feel like I have to watch it now.
Listen, Derek knows he's my one. He's my one. What is it? It's like your free pass, or like your free one. Like you can cheat on your significant other. He is my one.
Wait, remember that list I sent? So I sent you a list basically being like things I want to accomplish. Number one, of course, was to be on like a panel of a convention. That'd be really, really fun to do. But secondly, it was for us to see our favorite K-pop group live. Yours would be Vix or Leo, and mine would be, of course, Infinite.
Listen, if I saw Leo live, I would just die. Like, he's so good. I have problems.
You have some issues, Sam.
I do have issues.
Yeah, I'll have to remember to watch it after the podcast.
I felt like a terrible fan because I didn't even know he was dropping a music video, but I saw it like 10 hours after it like was dropped, and I was like, because I was getting ready to go to bed. I looked at it and I'm like, nope, we must watch this now. You only get one shot to listen to it on the day it comes out, and I gotta listen to it, and
Listen, I understand because I used to be really into Infinite. I mean, like, I'm still am into them, but not as much as I was, like, back then. Like, back then I, like, knew their schedule. Not, like, knew, like, where they were, but, like, I knew what, like, television shows they were going to be at or, like, what music shows they're going to be on, and I, like, knew everything. But literally, one of the members just got out of the military a while ago, and I didn't even realize it. I don't know, Sam. Maybe we're growing up.
oh god, I don't accept this reality.
Okay, also, I've been working out a lot because we're doing this soccer thing at work and I'm being extra competitive about it. But I realized that I'm not in my early 20s anymore. Like, I am so sore right now and in pain because I forgot to stretch before I went for a run, and I'm not young. I literally need to spend like 20 minutes stretching my legs out or else I'm going to die. But is there anything else you want to talk about, Sam, or should we get into the episode?
Yeah, so I'm working on a project and I was going through my books. In my closet, I have like a box of books to get rid of and stuff, or that I have no intentions of reading. And I pulled one out and I was like, God, this sounds super familiar. Why does this sound so familiar? Well, it's because I bought the paperback 2 weeks ago and not realizing I already had the hardcover sitting in my freaking closet, dude. So now I have 2 copies of the same book, and I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with them. I might just keep the hardcover and try to get rid of the paperback, or I might just keep both. I don't know. I'm in a conundrum. I've never actually owned 2 copies of the same book before. I'm usually pretty good about knowing what's on my shelf, and now I have 2 copies of the same book, so here we are.
So in reality, I gave you that other book, so you really only have one book because I bought the other one. So, logic.
This is fair.
But a book that we're going to be reading today, which I'm really excited about because, like, I've heard really good things about the writer. And we also read one of their books before, which was the Below Zero book. The book that we're going to be reading is called Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. They wrote the Love, was it?
Hypothesis.
Yeah, thank you. Also, I want to say special thanks to NetGalley and Spear for giving us the opportunity to read this book before it was published as an ARC for an honest review of this book. So thank you so much. And so this book is an adult romance contemporary novel that follows B, which, by the way, I love the fact that her name is B. And then last week we read The Honeys.
I know.
We really did not plan it out like that. And also, I was kind of scared, too, because that book emotionally scarred me. But this book follows a woman named Bee, and she's offered a lead position at NASA. But the only issue is that she has to be the co-partner and, like, run it with her arch enemy, Levi, who has made it clear multiple times that he does not like her. And noticing later on that, like, her equipment doesn't come in, she's having issues, like she's not getting emails, and that the staff is ignoring her. She comes to realize that Levi is like the only person who's kind of standing up for her, which is kind of weird because he's her supposed enemy. This is definitely an enemies to lover romance. And yeah, Sam, I want to ask you a question.
What?
Is this another fan fiction?
Listen, I knew and I'd heard that the Love Hypothesis was like a Kyloren something fan fiction. And this was eerily similar. Like, I literally went and looked up a picture of Kylo Ren. He's the dark one in the new Star Wars. I'm not really well versed in Star Wars. I pulled a picture of the cover, and then I also pulled a picture of Kylo Ren, and I was like, it's the same person. Minus the green eyes, it's the same person. Like, it has to be. I'm like, this is another fan fiction. And then they, like, bonded over The Empire Strikes Back, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So, I mean, I don't mind Star Wars references and stuff, but I was just like, 2 books with Star Wars references? Like, there's more nerdy culture out there. You could pick something else.
I don't know. I read it and I was like, I don't know. Like, I was like, I feel like this is another fan fiction, which is okay because, like, there have been some amazing stories that came out originally being written as fan fiction. I mean, like 50 Shades of Grey. I mean, just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, God.
I honestly didn't know what to expect with this book because we did read Below Zero last month and we weren't really huge fans of it, but it was also a novella, so it wasn't like a long book by any means. It's really hard to write, I feel like, a novella romance style because of the fact that I like a romance that builds up, that you can see them falling in love. And I feel like novellas are really short, so it was hard for us to kind of see that and kind of like, I don't know, really like the characters. But the fact that this was an actual book.
Listen, I wasn't impressed.
You weren't impressed. Why?
I don't know. I feel like I'm not the biggest fan of, like, miscommunication tropes, especially when the miscommunication could have been easily figured out in the first 5 minutes. I also figured out one of the twists really, really early on, and it was just like, I don't know. If you were going into this just, like, pure romance, no plot, it's okay. But, like, the plot was kind of meh, and a lot of the issues were kind of meh. I don't know. I really wasn't impressed with this book at all.
I think that I was hoping for more than what it gave. I also feel like I had a little bit more of a higher view of this book because so many people were hyping it up. So I was like, oh, it's going to be like this amazing book because her other book was amazing too. I liked it. I rated it like 3.5, 4 stars. Like, I liked it towards the end of the book. I think that maybe it was because I wasn't really a huge fan of B, and I felt like at first that she was kind of playing like she was the victim for like everything. But also on top of that, I didn't like the way that she talked about her coworkers, calling them dumb, and I don't know, I just didn't like it. Oh, also the science part. Okay, listen, I love space and I love science, but I was zoning out. Like, literally, I was reading the pages and where she explains what she does and what she's working for, and I was falling asleep. And I'm sure that someone who's in STEM would love the book, but for me personally, as someone who's not really, like, smart into science, I was confused and I also was zoning out.
I found B way too one-dimensional. I didn't really feel like she had much depth to her. I kind of had high hopes when she was like, oh, like, I have a secret identity and I'm trying to fight for women's rights in STEM and stuff. And I was like, yeah, like, girl power, I like it. And I feel like it didn't really go anywhere. I felt like her character was quirky for the sake of being quirky. It felt really inauthentic.
Yeah, I feel like she was a pick-me girl.
Yeah, it really, she was like a pick-me science girl. I'm not like other girls.
I mean, I did enjoy the book towards the end of the book. Like, when things were starting to get figured out, I did enjoy it. And if anything, I think the side characters, which we'll talk about more in the end, saved the book for me. I don't know. I expected more than what we were given. I agree with what you were saying about her online presence, which I guess we can talk more about in the spoiler section. But are you ready to go into the spoiler section?
Yes, let's get into the spoilers.
Spoiler section.
We're still trying to learn how to transition. It probably is never going to happen. Y'all just need to accept this. But anyway, if you haven't read the book, which I'm sure you have, because this book, like, I think it already hit the New York Times bestseller list, so there's many of you who have read it. Then don't go ahead. If you have, come ahead. If you haven't and you just want to listen to us talk, that's fine too. I mean, more power to you. I want to start off with saying that I already knew who, like, that SHM-ack, whatever, Schmack. I don't know how to say.
Schmack.
I knew who Schmack was in the first conversation.
Oh, yeah. I think we all did. I think there was no hiding it. And, like, I feel like she could have written that better. It was put in there so that way she could see his feelings in a new way. Like, it wasn't just him telling her that how much he loves her. It was like, hey, he said these things about me, how much he wants to be with me, how much he loves me. But It was so predictable, Sam.
Most romance books can be fairly predictable. They hit these beats. I like to call them beats. They're like these like points through the book that you know you're going to hit. You know, like enemies to lovers are going to start hating each other, and then one or the other is going to do something that kind of like shows them in a new light, and then they start thinking about them, and then they get together, and then usually there's like some climactic point where like they fight, or there's a reason why they break up, and they realize they can't like live without each other, and so then they get back together, and ultimately they end up getting married. And the epilogue, which honestly I just skimmed through the epilogue, I really could have cared less.
Damn, Sam.
But like I can handle predictability if you can write a good plot. And I just felt like the plot wasn't very well written.
Yeah, I felt like the writer was trying to do too much. Like, she was talking a lot about injustice that women go through in a typical male field. And I can understand that as someone who is a female and someone who is in the culinary fields, especially when I was working in like a fine dining restaurant. I feel like a lot of times with B, I felt like she was childish and immature, and that the things that she was mad about was not things that really, I guess, made sense. Like how she got upset about her dress code. And I get, okay, the reason why he wanted her to change is because he's like, oh my God, that dress. I can't like with her in that dress. And I, like, part of me, I'm kind of like, you shoot rockets into space. How can you not deal with your crush wearing a dress?
The dress code he was talking about too was that she had a hole in her shirt too.
Oh, wait, really?
He had mentioned that she had like a hole in the arm of her shirt. And Boris was trying to find any reason why to kick her off because they didn't like the NIH and they didn't want the NIH to be a part of it. It was some petty argument between NASA and the NIH. So that was the reason why he was like, you need to fix your dress code. But then she's like, oh, it's because I'm a female. And I'm like, no, dude, you had a hole in your shirt. That's unprofessional.
Also, I heard a lot. I like to kind of like look at some reviews before we do these podcast episodes just to kind of see like what everyone else kind of thought about the book and see where my thoughts differ from people. I didn't realize a lot of people are upset because this basically is like her last book that she wrote.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I guess if it works, it works. Like if that's what you like, write it. But if it's like the same book than the last book, it's kind of like, bestie, like people want new stuff from you. I also felt very frustrated because I'm like, dude, like you guys can't have a conversation. Like the fact that Levi thought that she was married.
Yes, it was so easily able to like be figured out because like yeah, she was wearing the ring on her left hand or whatever, but all you had to do was be like, hey, how's Tim doing, blah 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 blah, and then she would have been like, oh, I don't know, like I know you two collaborated a lot, I figured he would have told you that we're not together.
He could have asked her assistant and been like, oh, like she married, not like that I guess, but like more but like a sly way of doing it.
Yeah,
but instead he's like, she's married, I'm upset, blah blah blah. And also the fact that like, I don't know, sometimes romance novels, like the main character can be kind of creepy. Just think of this, Sam. You met this guy in college. He was a dick to you, right? He broke up with his girlfriend because he loved you. And then for 10 years, all he could do was think about you and not be in a relationship.
It has Dateline written all over it.
That is a red flag, bestie. That is a red flag. I get it. It's cute. It's romantic. Like, he couldn't get over her. But also part of me, the fact when I figured out that he broke up with a girl because of her, like the girl that he was dating, I was like, I don't really know how I feel about this. I also want to say that one of the characters that I absolutely loved, I don't know how you feel about Sam, was her assistant.
Oh, Rossio.
I loved her. Whenever she was talking, I was like laughing hysterically. I love her random facts. I love how the fact that she's like a gothic assistant and then she falls in love with like her opposite, and I was like, can we just get a book about them too, please?
They were adorable, and I was like, I knew from the second she was like, I hate Kaylee, and I was like, no, you don't, you love Kaylee. I knew that was coming, but I was so happy when they finally confirmed it. I was like, yes. And then she was like, I'll wear glitter for her, I'll wear black glitter for her, and I was just like, oh, I love you so much.
Yeah, like I absolutely love their relationship, and I love the fact that she hated her in the beginning because, like, and also I don't know about you, when she's like, I hate her, I was like, you love her. Did you feel that same way too? That you knew that they were gonna?
Yeah, I was just like, this is Endgame. I'm like, the second you said you hate her, this is Endgame. I know it is.
Also, did you kind of feel like the story dragged a little bit?
I just started skimming it. Thank God. I almost bought this as an audiobook. I opted not to. I got it as an ebook. I'm glad I did too. It would be coming off my shelf real quick. Anyway, sometimes when I get bored of a plot, I'll skim till I find dialogue, and I'll just follow the dialogue all the way down just to kind of hear what's going on. And then if I feel like I've missed something, I'll go back a little bit and like reread the paragraph before. As I was reading the book, I'm like, I've got other books I could be reading right now that I really would much rather read than this.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I got this as an audiobook because I was like, I tried reading it as a physical book. I didn't get the physical book. I went to the bookstore and I read the first chapter of it in the bookstore just to be like, should I get this as a physical book? And I was like, no. No, because I was zoning out. So I got it as an audiobook because I thought that I could get through it really fast. And Sam, please explain to me why I was on break and I'm listening to the audiobook and it gets to the smushy part, the sexy part, and all of a sudden my coworker, who he is an old man, he sits across from me and he starts trying to talk to me. Sir. And I was like, stop. I was like hitting my head, trying to get my headphone to pause. I was like, stop, please stop. And I was like, don't talk to me right now. Don't even look at me. Like, this is embarrassing.
Dude, the amount of times this has happened to you is more than I can count. Because one time you got to like the shmushy part, as you like to call it, the shmushy part. And then there was a little kid behind you. Like, just stop, listen. Because if you're listening to these books, they're going to get to that point. You need to just stop. It's just a pattern now.
Listen, I don't really read those types of books when I'm at work, but it's like books that I'm like, oh, this cover is really cute. It looks like a cute romance novel. And I'll just listen to it and I'm like, oh, what? Never mind. Because let me just tell you, adult contemporary novels, their covers have changed. They're not the covers that our moms, or at least my mom, used to read, where it's like,
with like Fabio just glistening on the other cute cartoons, and you're like, this looks adorable and wholesome, and it's like, no.
And it's like he threw her against the wall, and you're like, excuse me?
This is how women get away with reading this crap on like trains and stuff, because it looks adorable, but like little do the men know it's like our deep dark fantasies written in the book, and we're just sitting there fantasizing. Listen, women are dirty too. We're just dirty in a different way.
Also, did you like the Levi character?
I really didn't have a strong feeling either way.
I felt like he was a very flat character too. I understand that he kind of deals with a lot of stuff from his family, and I kind of wish that was a little bit more well developed in some ways.
Like, I know that she was trying to give him more depth by being like, he cares about this kid, and which, I mean, the interaction was adorable and stuff, but like, he cares about this kid, and his family hates that he went into NASA and became an engineer, but God forbid he's not in the military. And then that really didn't even play a huge role in anything, just long enough for B to like stand up for him and be like, oh, thank you, I love you, and then that'd be about it. Like, it really didn't play much of a role, and we didn't really find out much about it till like 2 minutes before we met the family, and then it didn't matter anyway post it happening.
You know what would have been really cute for this book, Sam?
What?
If this was a fake dating book.
I think that would have worked a lot better.
I think so too. I feel like it would have worked a lot better than the enemies to lover romance novel.
This book just didn't work for me. I rated it 3. Honestly, I rated it 3 stars. I was like, it left me wanting like more out of it. Like, I didn't feel like we got enough out of it. And then what was focused on was unnecessary, and what wasn't focused on needed to be focused on. Like, her whole, like, what would Marie do Twitter handle and stuff. Like, she started this whole movement, and then nothing really came of it. Until, like, her identity was revealed, and even then it wasn't really, like, revealed. Like, it really didn't carry much consequence. And then it was kind of just figured out, and we found out that Guy was the bad guy, and then that was that. Honestly, I thought Boris was the bad guy, but I was like, Guy was the bad guy. Of course, she kept labeling him as, like, the nice guy, and of course, like, he was not the nice guy. He was the bad guy. Like,
the minute that we got introduced to the Guy character, I was like, he's the bad guy.
Right.
Like, immediately knew. Like, he's too nice. But also on top of that, I agree with the whole thing about her Twitter thing. I'm not saying that what she wrote about is not an actual real issue in the STEM, because obviously I'm not a part of that. But I wish that it was something to do like, hey, if you're writing a book that's mostly dealing with women who deal with sexism in the workplace, maybe make it an issue and write about it and then have it to be a huge thing. It kind of took off but didn't really take off. Also, the whole Guy situation, I like the fact that there is some action in the book. I guess, if that makes sense. But
it was a lot of like started, but nothing ever completed.
And also like the fact that she thought everyone else was sabotaging her, but in reality it was just this one guy who got upset.
I don't want to sit there and like bash this whole book. I mean, there were a couple good points, but honestly, the bad outweighed the good in this.
Yeah, I agree too. Like, I do really, really want to like it because I know that everyone loves it. It has like a 4-star on Goodreads. So obviously people really like it. I just felt like for me, it's like I expected a lot more.
I think it just goes to show you like everybody's tastes are different and not everybody's going to enjoy the same stuff. Ironically, you and I, for the most part, tend to have the same opinions on books. I'm kind of curious about the first time that we're complete opposites on a book because I really want to hear us argue a little bit on why we're like on the opposite sides. But for the most part, we kind of tend to agree because I think we have, even though we read very different genres, we have the very similar reading styles, if that makes any sense. But if you like it, you like it, and that's great. More power to you. That's the kind of the joy of art and literature. Like, nobody reads it the same way. So if you liked it, that's awesome. This is just our opinions. Our opinions are worth nothing except that we enjoy giving them, so here we are. But yeah, I mean, if people like it, that's great. Good for them. Ali Hazelwood obviously has a very large audience, and she does really well, and good for her, because that's amazing. It's hard to be an author, but not for me, not my cup of tea. Probably won't read anything else that she writes, but at least we gave her a try. We did a novella and we did a whole book, and that was that. I think we gave her a good college try.
I also think that it's awesome that she's writing women in STEM because I feel like that's not talked about enough. I just felt very confused. But then again, if I met a man like Levi who is very tall and looked like Adam Driver, I am done. I accept it. But anyways, next week we're going to be reading The Liar's Crown, which is a book that Sam's very excited about reading. It's by Abigail Owen. And Sam, I don't know if you want to explain what the book's about or if you want me to.
Yeah, so The Liar's Crown is about a set of twins. One is the actual princess, and the other one is her stand-in. Clearly, they're identical. And so basically, the second twin is the first twin's bodyguard, and anytime there's, like, danger, the second twin steps in for the first one, and so that way, if, like, she gets killed, the original twin is still alive. At the night of the coronation of the actual queen, they feel like something bad's gonna happen, so the second twin steps in, and she gets kidnapped, and when she's trying to escape, like, everyone kind of starts to figure out that, like, they've been lied to the whole time and there's a second twin, because the second twin was actually, like, made to look like basically she has no standing and, like, she's a commoner, and then she, like, moves in and out being the princess. I love these kinds of books. I'm so excited for this, and this is one of, like, my more anticipated books of the year. I think I put it, like, my, like, top 5 or 10 books that I want to read this year, and right now it's kind of sitting at 4.2 on Goodreads. I've got high hopes for it, so I hope it's good.
I'm excited because I looked at it at Goodreads and it is also labeled as a romance. So I'm like, I love my romance, Sam. I love my romance.
I think this is going to be a good mesh between our reading styles for this one, so I'm excited.
I'm excited about it too. It seems like it's going to be super fun, and yeah. But anyways, you guys, thank you so much for checking out this episode of us talking about Love on the Brain. If you guys did like this episode, and if you do like our podcast, please feel free to rate it. It does help us in getting other people interested in our podcast. And also, Sam, talk about our socials.
Okay, so if you think we're absolutely hilarious,
which we are,
we have a TikTok where we are just One More Page official, just One More Page podcast. I apologize. And then with all the pictures, all the goodies, and all the updates, and I'm trying to build more schedules on it, we have our Instagram, and we are just One More Page official on that. So go ahead and give us all the follows on those so you can keep up with everything we're doing. And that way you can comment, talk to us, give us direct messages, tell us how much you love the podcast. So yeah, go ahead and give us a follow. Come give us some love. We love you all. Thank you guys so much for listening to us. And
thank you for reading. Yeah, I almost said thank you for reading. I meant thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay,
bye.
Bye.